Welcome back. For those of you who have not been here before, my name is Ron and I'm a photographer. In this video I want to talk to you about the Z8 and the Z6ii and their physical characteristics and the button layouts and just the total differences between these two bodies, if there is any. I just recently picked up the Z8 from my favorite camera store, and I own two Nikon Z6iis, and I sold one of them last week to MPB, and I kept the other one. And I'm going to keep that one, I believe, in the studio just to do YouTube videos with, and then have it as a backup camera. The Z6ii is a very capable camera body. I've touted it for years. I've had this one here about 3 years, and it's never let me down. As far as the other Z6ii body goes that I sold, I'm going to replace that as soon as the Z6ii, the mythical body, it gets released. I've got my name as number 2 on the list at my favorite camera store, so I'm eagerly anticipating its arrival and the specifications for it. I mainly purchased the Z8 for wildlife type photography. Everybody knows me on this channel. I have a D500 with a 500 PF. I recently purchased the 180-600 Z mount lens, and I'm going to mount that on the Z8 and use it as a wildlife rig. Who knows what I may use the Z8 for in the future, but one of the reasons I got into this combination was for video. I have found myself doing more and more videos of wildlife, especially bird photography, and I wanted to be able to do that better. The D500 is a wonderful camera, but it does not do video very well. It does okay with it, but the focusing system does a lot of weird things when you're trying to video. And I'm hoping to get better results with the Z8 and the 180-600 combination. So let's talk about ergonomics. Right off the bat, when I picked up the Z8 and wrapped my hand around it, it just felt like it belonged in my hand. It's a pretty beefy body. It's not as beefy as the Z9, but it is beefy. It feels good in the hand. The grip feels really well. And my hand, I got a pretty good sized hand. My hand fits it very well. My little finger stays up in the grip. It does not fall underneath it. The Z6ii is very similar in its design, and I would say that the grip, this part of the grip right here, where your hand wraps around, is just a little bit thinner in that area. I want to say the Z8 body is really thicker in most aspects. As far as the length goes, they are both very similar in length. What I do notice here is the Z8's just a little bit taller, okay? One thing I did try to do is I have a Kirk Enterprise L bracket on my Z6ii, and I took the one off of my other Z6ii before I sold it. I thought maybe I could use it on the Z8. Nope, it will not fit, okay? It blocks a few of the doors on this side. So that's a no-go on that. Right away, one of the things I notice here, and I'm not too sure if there's something you can change in the menu for this or not, but the camera, the Z8 is turned off at this point, but the display on the top is still showing some numbers on it. And that bothers me because it's probably draining on the battery a little bit. I don't know how much. The Z6ii, when it's in the off position, that little display right there does not light up. So that's concerning me, and maybe I'll find a menu option where I can turn that off when the camera's turned off. One of the other differences of the Z8 versus the Z6ii, the Z8 has the professional style dial buttons over here where you have a bracketing, white balance, mode, and your timer settings. The Z6ii has user banks. User 1, User 2, User 3, which a lot of us are familiar with, and the Z8 uses banks similar to the D500, the D850, and I'm supposed the Z9 is the same way. So the Z8 has banks in it also, so I just have to get used to doing that. On my D500, I've only got one bank set up, but again, I only shoot wildlife with it. So I'll probably set up a wildlife bank for this just like the D500. And then probably what I'll do is have a couple other banks for some landscape and maybe for some daily type photography. Now let's look at the back of the screen, okay, the back of the camera. Let me get my joystick turned down just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to look at the back of the camera. This is the Z8 and the Z6ii is on this side. The Z6ii has a screen that only tilts up and down, so you can pull it out and you can look down a little bit, or you can turn it up and look straight up like that. That's the only way that screen goes. The Z8 has a different type of screen, and it will come out similar to the Z6. I'll pull that out right there. I thought it would. Let's see. Well, it actually, okay, I want to pull it out this way. It actually goes this way. So if you're shooting vertical, you got it this way. And if you turn the screen back, it will go back just a little bit to the other direction, okay? But not as far as it did on the vertical shot that way. And I think it'll, yes it will. It'll flip down like this. And I don't think it'll flip up though. Yes, it does flip up. It flips all the way up. So it's a little bit different screen. I would have liked to have seen a full articulating screen, so you could have done like vlogging with it, you know, back around the other side. But that's just what we got on the Z8. Okay. Looking at the back of the cameras. Okay. What I'm going to do is turn around so you can see them real quick. The button layout is very similar between these two cameras. Okay. You have an autofocus button up here at the top. You have an autofocus button. You have your display button right next to it with the mode dial for video and images or photographs. There's a joystick on the back of the Z8. Of course, your I menu button, the OK button in the menu, and some of these other buttons. So for the most part, the button layout is very similar. The only difference is the playback button on the Z6ii is at the top right-hand corner. On the Z8, it's at the bottom right-hand corner. Looking at the side, the Z8 has a 10-pin port, which is what you'll find on the D500 and the D850. The Z6ii uses a small connector. I don't know what they call that, an MC10 or something that's called, but it's different than the D500, different than the Z8, probably different than the Z9 also. So you have two USB ports on the Z8. One is power delivery and one is for communications. Then you have an HDMI port, which is a full-size HDMI port. The Z6 has a mini HDMI port on it. Then it has the microphone and headphone jacks, very similar to the Z6ii. Okay. The button layout on the top for your power button and your ISO, your exposure compensation, and your movie record buttons are in the same general area from the power button. The dials, it's a little bit different on the back of the Z8. It's enclosed, so you just got it sticking out on the outside of the thing. On the Z6ii, there's a metal type wheel on the back that's fully exposed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mount the 180 to 600 on the Z8 so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to take the lens hood off. It makes it look bigger than it really is. And what I'm going to do is take the cap off of the body and the cap off of the lens. And there it is mounted to the Z8. And right away I'm going to fire it up and have a look here. Take the lens cap off. Let's see how quick it focuses. Oh, got it on manual, no wonder. Okay. It's pretty quick. Boy, that's quiet. I didn't hardly hear that at all. It's not like the Z6ii. Anyways, it focused pretty quick with that lens. It is heavy. It'll take some getting used to, but I'm going to probably use it a lot on a tripod to do my videos with and stuff. Okay, so that's that with the 180 to 600 on there. So what I'm going to do now is put on the 24 to 120 that I got with this kit. I bought the 24 to 120 with the Z8, okay, and it's at 24 millimeters now. Turn the camera back on. Oh wow, Yeah, boy, is that quiet. You can't hardly hear it fire off a frame. So the 24 to 120 is a extending zoom. It extends outside. It's not an internal zoom. But I wanted this lens because I needed this focal length. I have a 24 to 70, but a lot of times I wanted a 24 to 120, even something into the 200 range without going with the 70 to 200. And I hope this is going to be my go-to lens when I'm walking around and what have you. And I was really excited to read the reviews about this and got some expert advice from some Facebook pages. So the other two Nikon Z lenses I have in my arsenal is the 14 to 30 f4, which I use a lot during landscaping and waterfall photography. And then, like I said before, I have the 24 to 70 f4, which it's really been a really good lens and I really like it. But I'm probably going to use it mostly in my studio when I'm doing videos. So it'll go out in the field sometime, but mostly stay on the Z6ii in the studio. And hopefully I'll get the mythical Z6ii when it comes out, and that'll be my two workhorse bodies, my Z8 and my Z6ii. Now, when I bought this camera, the Z8, I got it on sale. They were having Nikon was having a sale, and also too, the 24 to 120 was a kit lens, so I saved a couple $100 by buying it in kit form. And then I went ahead and bought the FTZ2 adapter. I have the FTZ1, but I wanted the FTZ2 for this new camera body, and they had a $100 rebate on this, so I got it for $149. And I also got a 128 gig Sony CF Express card, and I'll tell you which one that is because I got it in the camera right now. Let me turn the camera off. So it's the Sony Tough. Okay, I'll hold it up there so you can kind of see it. If you can see that right there, focus. Sony Tough CF Express 128 gig G, has a G in a red box. 1700 megabit seconds, 1400 write, 1700 read. And I chose to go that route with this camera because I heard I'm going to need it. It's got more megapixels and it needs the speed for doing video, which is what I want to do. We'll get into this FTZ adapter real quick. I need to take it out of the box anyways. This is the new one without the tripod foot on the bottom, which the other one had on it, and usually caused people a lot of issues. Never really caused me an issue, but it caused other people issues. So I don't see anything different about this. It's just missing the tripod foot, like I said. Looks about the same. That's the FTZ2. The 24 to 120 came with a HB102 lens hood for it. I don't usually use my lens hoods. Sometimes I do on the big lenses, but not on my landscape stuff. I've been told that I should use them, but I don't a lot of times. Anyways, that's about it. That's my comparison video on the Z6ii and the Z8. If you got any comments or any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I really appreciate those, and I try to answer every one of them. If you want me to check something out between these two cameras, I'll be glad to do that. I will have both of them in my stable for a very long time. One of the things I want to mention again is I do have my name on the list for the Z6ii, the mythical Z6ii, at my favorite camera store, and I understand that I'm number 2 on the list at that store. So I hope to have that available to me within probably by summertime. I'd hope by April or May they've released that, and I feel pretty confident they probably will. There's been a lot of rumors about it. I don't usually to play into these rumors, but they seem very strong about it, and I had a video up this morning that I took down that talked about that a little bit. Anyways, my name is Ron Durant. I live in East Tennessee and I'm a photographer. Thanks for coming by today, and if you wouldn't mind, give my videos a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Keep up with what I like to talk about. I like to talk about cameras. I like to talk about photography. I like to talk about editing. I like to talk about wildlife, landscape, you name it. Okay? So thank you, and y'all have a nice evening now. Bye-bye.